Round of applause for all our four-way test speech finalists and our winner, Benjamin. You could tell he was super excited to win that, and it made probably inspiration to him that'll last for a lifetime. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Herb Smith. Rotary has been a part of my life since 2012. My Rotary life began way before that, as I would help my Rotary Club that I joined with their annual fundraiser, the Sunrises Over Dinner and Auction. And it's been a field trip that's just kept me moving. It is my pleasure to introduce our next program. Our conference master of ceremony is a co-owner of the streaming media company AW Rebels, and he charms the airways as a radio personality on WHV 94.5. He's a past president of the Downtown Rotary Club of State College and a Rollin' with Rotary founding member. Jason is highly active with Rotary public image on a local and national level. Jason has inspired many Rotarians at district conferences, the PETS, which is President-elect Training, and our Rotary International Convention. Today, presenting on M&Ms, and I'm not talking about the chocolate that melts in your mouth and not in your hands, making membership memorable. Will you all please welcome me, my friend, Jason Brown.
Oh, I hear that applause. Thank you. Oh, that was delicious. Oh, that was delicious. Everybody, we're going to have a little bit of fun today. And the first thing that I need is to make you realize that chat is going to be open, and I want chat to be as more active than it's been the entire conference. So I want to get your hands out of your pockets, out of the bag of chips that you're sitting next to, put them on your keyboard, and I want you to get ready. So let's just warm up with a question. What did you have for lunch? In chat, what did you have for lunch? I want to see the responses in chat. What did you have for lunch in chat? Get your fingers warmed up. Rachel, that's right, chat it up. That's exactly what we're going to do. I want this conversation to be flying. And a little bit of a heads up about the chat. I'm going to ask you questions, and then I'm going to let the chat just go ahead and have a conversation. I'm also at the same time going to keep the conversation moving. Feel free to continue the chat inside a chat. One thing you can't do that online that you can do in person is have these conversations. So we're going to simulate that online right now. I had Rachel said she had a cheesesteak. Joe said pretzels. Turkey sandwich. Diana, okay. I need to see some more responses. Herb said a cheesesteak sub. If you're hanging out with us today, I need to see some responses in chat. Nothing busy tearing up the carpet in between meetings. Well, Mary, hopefully you get down to the store to repair the carpet. No one wants you to tear it up in between. Lamb shepherd's pie, bologna and cheese, old school Ken, Italian sausage sandwich. Okay. All right, everybody. All right, I see that. Can I get the talk here up on the screen on this side for me? Also, okay, so mac and cheese, Tommy ham sandwich. All right, everybody. What we're going to be talking about today is making M&Ms and making membership memorable. And I have a small little thing of M&Ms right here. I'm going to go ahead and bring this out to you. So, summer bologna and cheese. Perfect. Well, this is what we're going to be talking about today. It's not full because I need you to help fill this up for me, because this is what we're going to be talking about. Making M&Ms, making membership memorable, and that's what we need to do within Rotary. So I need you to tell me one word that describes what Rotary is going to be like for you in 2021. In chat, I need to see what that's going to be like. What is Rotary, one word that describes Rotary in 2021? And I still get the speech up on this screen, if you don't mind. One word to describe what the Rotary is going to be like in 2021. Jordan's still talking about the food. He's like, listen, I got a PB&J ready to go. This is what we're talking about here. All right. Exciting. Diane, thank you. Exciting. What other things? Think about active. What else do you have? Help. I'm going to need some help. That's a real comment. That's a real, honest, truthful message that's there. Productive, service, fellowship, coach. Okay, these are the type of things that we're going to be thinking about 2021. If you've said the same words that you would have said last year or the year before, I challenge you to come up with a different word that might mean a little bit something different than what's there. Engaged, fellowship, service, productive, active. These are all the things we're going to need to do to make membership memorable, and that's what we're going to use to make M&Ms. All right. I still feel like there's more people in chat and not enough chat going on the screen, but I'm going to keep on asking. And here's another question to get you warmed up. Making M&Ms, making it membership memorable. Next question is, what is more important? If you had to choose one, what's more important? Membership growth or membership retention? In chat, I want to see which ones you would choose if you had to choose one of these two. What is more important, membership growth or membership retention? Engage with some of the other words. Fellowship, more members, fundraising, adaptable. All right, these are all great words. Toss the question up one more time for me, if you don't mind. What is more important, membership growth or membership retention? Feel free to comment in chat. I'm going to keep digging and pushing things forward. I'm going to come back and talk about some of the comments that you might have put in chat. In order for us to make M&Ms and make membership memorable, we are going to have to focus on members. These M&Ms right here, they're colorful, they're sweet, they're diverse. When you think of membership, thinking about making membership memorable, think of those M&Ms, because that's us. And membership is the most important aspect of Rotary. Without membership, we can't do all the great things we do in Rotary, everything in the foundation, all the service projects. All that happens within Rotary requires quality membership, and therefore, and thus, membership must be the most important aspect of what we do. We have to make membership memorable, and we have to make M&Ms. Going to some of the comments in chat, I see retention, growth and retention. Retention takes left. Ken, you got to choose one. You got to choose one. Can't choose both. That's the hard part of the question. Membership, growth, and retention are equal. Diane, I challenge you that is not, if you have to choose one, you can't. They go hand in hand. I'll give you that. But if you had to choose one, why? What is it and why? Can't cop out and say both. Would you rather question? You got to choose one. Just as important as is membership is the fact that we need to change our approach to membership. Our President Holger has said that in recent years, we failed in our attempts to grow Rotary, and we need to change our approach to membership. He asks us not to grow for growth's sake. Instead, he asks us to be intentional and purposeful with adding and sustaining membership. To continue to impact the communities to which we love, we must make membership core to everything that we do. We must make membership memorable. We must make M&Ms. But before we get started, there's something that I need to relate to you about these M&Ms. These M&Ms are covered, and they're covered with a whole nice coating of COVID. Sounds gross, and that's why I said it. I'm not sure how many of you make candy, but making M&Ms is difficult, and it makes it even harder when there's still some COVID left coating these M&Ms. Going back to chat for one moment. Joe says growth. Sarah says growth. Membership without members as we die as an organization. Membership, both are equal. Growth and retention are equally as important. I challenge you that there is probably one that sits on top. And we'll get to this, but the fact that if you ask this question to your club, if you ask this question to the people that you work with on a regular basis inside of Rotary, some are going to say one, some are going to say the other. Membership, growth, or retention. It's going to be important to figure out where you lie on that spectrum. But to make M&Ms, there are going to be three things that are going to stop us along the way, okay? It's going to be three things. One is going to be lack of connection. Next is going to be information overload, their status quo, and of course, that nice old dose of COVID. Lack of connection, information overload, status quo, and COVID. So let's talk about these real quick so we can set it up and we can figure out how to balance ourselves out and be successful to make M&Ms. First, the first barrier is lack of connection. Internal to your club, you're not physically with the clubs week to week. I'm physical here with some of these beautiful individuals, but usually in the past and most recent times, we've not been together. Most of you have just been on Zoom talking to each other. In fact, most of you probably don't have pants on right now because you're sitting comfortably inside of your house. Now, I'm not judging you for not wearing pants. I'm just saying that the connection you have to other people may or may not be as great because you don't have pants on. So the connection you have to the other people in your club, obviously, has been a little bit less. There's a lack of connection there. External to your club, your opportunity to deeply connect with those that are in your community has changed. Before, you could be out in the community. You could be people of action, kicking down doors, taking pictures, selfies with people, put them on Facebook and be like, hey, look at me, hugging people, giving high fives. And that comes across from an external perspective. But we can't do that right now. We can't do that in the same way that we did before. And therefore, there's a lack of connection there when it comes to making membership memorable, making M&Ms. So how do you make membership memorable when there's a lack of connection? It's difficult, and COVID made it that much harder. So first question to you. Everybody get your fingers ready again. There's another question coming your way. If you had to choose which is more important with this lack of connection, is it the connections between the members inside of your club, or is it the connections between the public and your club? Now, we went over the rules of a would you rather question, everybody. So therefore, you have to choose one. Which one? The connection between the members in your club, or the connections between the public in your club, and what is more important? Now, again, I'm going to keep on moving, but as you continue to put your items in chat, defend your position. Explain the reasons why you think that. For instance, Tammy said she chose retention. If you only concentrate on growth, you are only exchanging old members for new members. Interesting. Tammy might be on to something. But the question of right now is the connection between your members of your club and the public in your club. Defend your point of view. The second barrier, as you answer that question, in making M&Ms is information overload. Internal to your club, there are so many different aspects of Rotary. Just counting the areas of focus and strategic objectives, and all of Irv's goals, DG Irv's goals, and his strategic plan, even though he didn't bring it with him. There's so many things to figure out when it comes to Rotary. How are you going? There's only so much information that you can have, so many emails you can read, so many Zoom sessions that you can go on, so many district conferences you can go to. There's so much information. How are you going to make membership memorable when there's information overload to you as a member? Now, let's think about all the people that you want to join Rotary. All those people external to your club. How the heck do you convey Rotary to someone who knows a little bit about it virtually? Sure, you can point them to Rotary.org, or maybe you can point them to your Facebook page, and there's one picture of everybody on Zoom without their pants on, just hanging out on their Facebook page. But that doesn't show and showcase all of what you embody. So conveying all of what Rotary is over a Zoom call or through your social media is very difficult to do. So how do you make membership memorable when there's information overload internally and externally? It was already hard, and COVID made it that much harder. Let's take a look at some of these comments real quick. Inside public and club, they need to see us out doing things and having fun doing it. Members and the club, communication makes the Rotary wheel turn. Attracting new members keeps it refreshed. There will always be attrition. The more you bring on board, that's the real growth. Connection between members, Rainer says. Hey, Rainer, how you doing, man? Between club members, Tammy says, with that connection, it makes connecting with community that much more easier and natural. Tammy, again, might be onto something here. How do you grow and build this membership? How do you grow and make M&Ms along the way? How do you fill up that tank that is sitting over there? Now, continue talking about that. The next question, though. If you had 10 seconds, we just talked about information overload. If you had 10 seconds to share one thing about Rotary with somebody, you had 10 seconds, that elevator pitch, which one would it be? Is it going to be fellowship, community service, personal Rotary story, area of focus, or something different? If you had to choose one of these options in 10 seconds to share, which one would you choose and why would you choose it? I have my personal favorite. I want to see what yours is. Make sure you answer that question and check. Keep your fingers moving. If you need to stretch your fingers, feel free to go ahead. I'm going to keep it moving, though. Continue voicing your voice in chat, and so we can have a discussion even amongst everybody there. The third barrier to making M&Ms, though, is status quo. Now, you've all been part of this status quo. Everybody, I'm going to ask everybody in the room, and maybe you'll hear some of the response. Everybody in the room. If you've heard the following phrase, I want everyone to say, heard that. All right, let's try it real quick. 1, 2, 3.
Heard that.
Okay, so everybody's here. I don't know if you can hear them, but I hear them, and they just said heard that. So this is an element of status quo. If you've heard someone in your club in the past 6 months say, we've always done it that way, on the count of three, say heard that. 1, 2, 3.
Heard that.
That is status quo at its finest. We've always done it that way. If you play by the rules set by tradition and your predecessors, you're not going to be able to adapt to the current needs of your club. COVID has changed everything. Absolutely everything. And if we just sit back and say, oh, we're just going to wait till it all comes back and we'll be fine, that is embedded in the status quo. That keeps things the way that they've always been. The world has drastically changed, and we need to change along with it. How do we make membership memorable when a lot of our clubs are stuck in the status quo, how things have been? We've always done it that way. It's always been hard, and COVID made it that much harder. Let's take a look a little bit about the comments in chat of the last question. Annie says, I heard that. I like that. Tammy, Charles says, community service is what you would talk about. Community service, leading the fellowship to demonstrate the Rotary Creed. We are known for our public events. Personal story related to Rotary, Cliff says. It will contain other RI stuff. If not, you probably haven't experienced Rotary yet. Cliff might be on to something. Imagine being able to tell. So you meet somebody in the elevator and you're like, well, hey, man, what's going on? What's that pin? It's a Rotary pin. What's that? And you're like, oh, well, you see, we've been around since Irv in 1908, and therefore we've been doing a lot of things here. Like, that's different than being like, I have a personal story to tell you, and here might be something related to my Rotary moment. And we'll get to that in just a little bit. But before we do, is the next question? Do I have the next question on the slide? Imagine your club didn't exist? Okay, sounds good. I didn't think so. All right, so the next thing that I want to say is that membership, we need to make membership memorable. We need to make M&Ms. And we have three barriers: lack of connection, information overload, and status quo. And oh, don't forget about that nice old coding of COVID. Okay? But before we hop into how we're going to fix this, I'm going to tell you a story about my grandfather. Okay? Tell you a story about my grandfather, because this is where that personal story might come into play. My grandfather, Mr. Nelson, he was never a Rotarian. Mr. Nelson never started a Rotary club, but he did inspire membership in the Club of Nelson. Mr. Nelson grew up in a predominantly Southern African-American town in the U.S. His family had little money, quality education was scarce, racism was abundant, there was a lack of community opportunities were limited. Sounds like a lot of places that still exist today in the United States. But despite these barriers, Mr. Nelson was able to get a college education and found ways to bring the community together. He formed a Club of Nelson. When he became the principal of multiple schools, he created a Club of Nelson, a team of teachers and leaders. When he became the leader of a local church and national professional fraternities, he created clubs of Nelson, teams of national and community leaders. When he helped install local sanitation systems and water systems in his community, he created clubs of Nelson, teams of government officials and policymakers. To change his community positively and collaboratively, he worked to foster making membership memorable in the Club of Nelson. That's what he did. I mean, look at this cool little emblem that represents Mr. Nelson's, the Club of Nelson. But here's the thing. The Club of Nelson never really existed. But it felt like the Clubs of Nelson existed to those that he worked with, the members in the community, everybody he impacted along the way. He made M&Ms. He made membership memorable. And he's the reason why I became a Rotarian. He passed away over 10 years ago, but the Clubs of Nelson are still living his model today. He didn't have a four-way test, but if I go down to the Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I say, do you know about Mr. Nelson? Everyone's going to say, Mr. Nelson, how can I help you? Because they recognize his name and what he did for the community, and his club still exists to this day. During that time, there was no COVID. There was no Zoom. Polio was still a U.S. problem and pandemic. But the foundations of creating M&Ms were there regardless. So while that was greater than 10 seconds, that was still a personal story that might connect a little bit more. than necessarily another aspect. But here's another question for everybody. Outside, and speaking of how my grandfather created the membership in the Club of Nelson, outside of Rotary, where did you feel most part of a team? Where was your membership memorable? Choose all that apply. Your church, your sports team, your school, your family, your partner, other, what is it? What is that item that exists here? What is that item that exists here? Hey, hi audience. Hey everybody. People pulled up the chairs to the front, tossing M&Ms at me. Seems perfect. But I want you to choose in chat, if you had to choose where did you feel like you were most part of a team? I want you to put them in chat and let us know. At school and at my church, Diane says. Perfect. And as you give me these answers, there's one thing that I want you to start. Family, Rainer says. Okay? Where else did you feel part of a team outside of Rotary? Outside of Rotary. Family or partner and other. And what is the number 5? What's the other option that's there? Habitat for Humanity, George, what about that? Joe, family, why? And most importantly, as you answer these questions of why, what is missing from Rotary that exists in these places? Mr. Nelson's my grandfather, he's my family. But at the same time, he created an experience of family with other people. And that was the bridge, that was the thing that he brought to the table that allowed things to happen. What are in these things that don't exist in Rotary? Keep your comments coming, keep the chat flowing, respond to each other, have some fun with it. Remember, there are 3 barriers to making M&Ms: lack of connection, information overload, status quo, and of course, your nice old coding of COVID. The barriers are solved with 5 things, though. Let's talk about them. Strong identity and diversity, clear public image, being business-minded, being innovative, and creating partnerships. Those are the 5 ways that we can tackle this. So let's dive into this and make sure that we understand all this together. Charles says sports. Why sports for you, Charles? What's the difference and what's missing from Rotary when you think about sports, and why is that membership memorable? Don says our business. Well, what about your business makes membership memorable in that experience, and what is missing in Rotary? Your scripture group. Don, I'm going to ask the same thing about that too. So let's start with the strong identity and diversity. Now, strong identity and diversity, those 2 things go hand in hand. A lot of people will say you got to add diversity regardless of who you are. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you, you need to figure out who you are as a club. You need to, if you've done strategic planning in your club, go ahead and type in strategic in chat. If you've done some strategic planning, I want to see strategic in chat. Everybody here who's done strategic planning in the room, everybody on the count of 3 say strategic. 1, 2, 3.
Strategic.
All right. There's been a lot of strategic planning that's been done here in this room, and maybe you've done some too. That gets to the identity at club, but I would say that that's incomplete. But having a strong identity allows you to properly shape all your efforts. What are your club values? What are your goals? Do you all see eye to eye on the direction to which your club is headed? For a mature club, maybe you've done strategic planning. But for a non-mature club, maybe it's just to have a simple conversation about what you value in your community. What does your club do, and why does it do the things that it does? Once you're able to look at yourself and know who you are, you're going to be able to apply and tackle all the rest of the things that you need to do. But unless you understand yourself, then you're not going to be able to do that. And then you add a layer of diversity on top of it. Are you the club that's just like, all right, sign me up. I want to be diverse. There are some people over there. Let me go over to the place where the black people hang out or the Asian people hang out. I'm just going to go ask them to join my club. That's not Rotary. That's not making membership memorable. That's not making people feel like they're a part of something. That's not creating a Club of Nelson. You got to figure out who your club is and how you want to handle diversity and what aspect you want to tackle that. Then you can go out and figure out a way to accomplish that. Don't just make it a box you check off on your list. But those 2 together provide a very powerful combination, allow you to make M&Ms. Next is going to be, I want to ask a question. When we think about the prospective members of your club, for a prospective member of your club, what do you think is most important? Talent, financial ability, or diversity? If you have to choose one, I want to see it in chat. For a prospective member, what do you think is the most important aspect? Swan, what would you choose? Talent, the financial ability, or diversity? If you had to choose one, what's most important to you for a prospective member? I'm asking you to say it out loud, so I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm choosing 2.
Financial ability.
No.
You're choosing 2 options. What are the 2 options?
The first one and the third one.
So talent and diversity. Those are the 2 that you're shooting for.
Absolutely.
All right. Sounds good. Mary says diversity. She's like, no, I'm in 2 options. I'm Swan. I get to have 2 answers, Jason. Okay?
There are 2 faces to this person.
Steve says talent. Joe says talent. Karen says talent. Colleen says talent. Cliff says talent. But this is an aspect of understanding what you're shooting for in your club. Does your club need more talent? Does it need more diversity? Does it need more financial ability? These are things to discuss with your club. And yes, your perspective may or may not align with that. And so there's something to consider. Next, public image. Having a clear public image is what we need to also focus on. Once you have a strong identity and you understand the level of diversity to which you want to include, you can have a strong public image and communicate that out with the general public and make sure they understand who you are. Having a clear public image allows you to attract the people to which you serve and makes current members feel good about their efforts. So you can celebrate your wins. Maybe I know that Swan really enjoys me to call her out in the middle of a presentation, and so I just did, and so that makes her feel really good. That's a little mini image of the idea of a public image. Maybe that translates to a Facebook post highlighting some of the great things you've done internally. Externally, maybe it's your ability to communicate what you've done in the community and why it's important to you so that you showcase the things that are important and you create M&Ms that way. Got to create M&Ms, make membership memorable internally and externally, and having a clear image allows you to get to that place. Third, business-minded. Many of you have businesses. If you have a business, have run a business in chat, I want to see you put just put yes. Just put yes in chat if you've ever run a business. And I'm going to ask everybody here on the count of 3, if you ever ran a business or like you were part of running a business, on the count of 3, say yes. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Cool. There's a good amount of people. I would say about half to 75% of people ran a company. David Steele ran a company before. Who else ran a company before or helped run a business? I know there's more people than just David Steele. I mean, David Steele's probably amazing, but I'm just saying there's probably more people. Oh. Me. Herb has, Joe has, Karen or Karen. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Not anymore. The point is whether you have at all. Rick says yes. Rainer says yes. Marie says yes. How often do we tap into the skill sets and the banks of talent that we have sitting right at our fingertips? How many times have we been in a Zoom meeting and maybe you've been on your fundraising committee or your public image committee and you're like, how are we going to advertise for that? Anybody on the team have any experience? Nope. Okay, I guess we'll just start posting randomly. Well, Sally Sue, who is not on any committee, has all of this experience, and nobody's asking Sally Sue for the perspective that she runs her own business with to support the things that are important to your club. Yes, we are all volunteers. Yes, we do this when we have time. At the same time, we all bring the skill sets to the table. And from my experience, and maybe from yours, we don't tap into that enough. And if we are going to be successful of making membership memorable, my grandfather needed to know how to connect with all of these people across the United States. He didn't know how to do that, but he worked with people that did, and he made it happen. He was business-minded, and I feel like we need to be business-minded as well. Marketing, finance, facilitation, social media. As we continue to make membership memorable, ask the members the appropriate skill sets to do that job. We ask our members to go ask somebody else to go join our club. We need to ask our own members to help out where they have those skills. Use your business skills to make M&Ms, to make membership memorable. Once you understand who you are as a club, who you are as a person, what level of diversity, that public image, layer that with some business mindedness. Now we're starting to cook with some fire. We're starting to make some chocolate over here, and it's starting to look really delicious. The next item is innovation. Now, right now, not yesterday, not 10 seconds ago, not 10 seconds from now. Right now is the time to start fresh. COVID has absolutely changed everything. Took all of our lives, put it into a big old popcorn can, popped it all up, threw it out the window, took it out the window, tossed it inside of the back of a pickup truck, ran it off a cliff, dropped inside of an ocean, exploded, and then that ocean then swept it back on shore. Then you made a little sandcastle, and then some little kid kicked over the sandcastle, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's my life. Well, all of that means that it's up to us to innovate along the way. If we are the same Rotary clubs that existed before all of that happened, what are we doing aside from being lazy? We are some of the smartest people on the planet. And if we don't choose, especially right now, to take the opportunity to do something new, we are missing out on one of the biggest opportunities that have existed socially across the world in a long time. You must innovate regarding membership. You must innovate with part of how we run our clubs. You must innovate with how we think about things. We must continue to innovate in order to make M&Ms. What's the worst that can happen? You got to change your plan. Okay, that's fine. You have a couple people in the club, they're like, you know what, I just don't feel like doing it. No, we don't do it that way here. It's not us. You gotta, why don't you start your own club, Sally? Jimmy? I know it happens, but we need to innovate in order to continue making M&Ms and continue making membership memorable. One of the things that I do want to comment is the Harvard Business Review said that when business is not as usual, look for nonprofits as inspiration. Granted, we're technically not a nonprofit, but the idea is that if you're looking for people to be able to move and shift around and do things cool, we are that group as generally as nonprofits, as people who serve the community. And as Rotarians, some of the smartest people on the planet, that is our role. That's what we need to do. So, question to you all. Is your club to innovate as we reopen? A, yes. 2, a little. C, no. Is your club ready to innovate as we reopen? Ready, not thinking about, not going to plan, but like, are you ready to be innovative as we reopen? I want to see yes, a little, and no in chat. All right, keep the conversation moving. Cliff says, agree, we don't always take advantage of the internal talents. Why? Maybe connections with members aren't as strong as we think. Interesting, Cliff. Interesting, Cliff. That lack of connection is strong then, right? That lack of connection is super strong then. We need to figure out a way to bridge that gap. And we can talk a little bit more about that. Steve says yes. Joe says yes. I challenge you. Why are you 3 ready? Karen. Is it Karen or Karen? Karen, I'm going to call you Karen. And if it's the other way, I apologize. A little. Yes, because we work well together. Yes, I challenge you. Give me the reasons why you're ready to kick the doors open as you reopen. Let me know the reasons why you feel so confident about this. We need to have strong identity, have clear public image, be business-minded, be fearless and innovative. Do all of this, and you're going to find a way to combat all of those earlier issues that we presented. Now, creating partnerships is the last piece of this puzzle. But before I hop into explaining that a little bit, let's imagine how many people, does anybody in this room have anybody in their areas that, I'm talking to the ones in digital land and also to the ones in person. Do you have anybody, think of Mr. Nelson. Maybe they're super sharp. They have a lot of cool things going on. They're fairly young. They have a lot of cool stuff happening. Does anybody, they really change the community. Do you have people, and raise your hand if you have people that kind of exist in your community like that, right? There's a few of you. In chat, do you have people in your communities that might be a pretty cool person? Maybe they have a bunch of money. Maybe they have cars. Maybe they do a lot with community service. Maybe they're super cool and hip. They have all the style. They have a lot of friends. And they're 100% cool. You know what I mean? They're that person in your own community. Matt, I'm sure we all have these people. Now, imagine that this individual, you see them walking down on the street. Like, oh, wow, Mr. Nelson. Hey, man, I'm in a Rotary. How do you think Mr. Nelson would respond if we asked Mr. Nelson to join a Rotary Club? He probably wouldn't want to. It's probably gonna look at all of y'all and be like, you know, I'm gonna keep my Club of Nelson. I'm gonna keep on doing my own thing. And a lot of times, what we do in Rotaries is we say, I guess Mr. Nelson's too good to work with us, and then we just continue to move on to the next person in line. How valuable are the partnerships to which we create? Imagine working with Mr. Nelson in the community, finding a topic that's important to him, to his community, to which he serves, helping him create change in an aspect, an area of Rotary that maybe we have been out of touch with. Then imagine this. You work really hard for 6 months, a year from now, you have this beautiful, you've been able to be successful only because you have the experience with him and you've been active in a community that you have not been. A year from now, somebody walks down the street and like, oh, hey, Mr. Nelson, how's it going? How's it going, Mr. Nelson? It's pretty cool. How are you able to do all this cool stuff? And Mr. Nelson's like, hey, you know, the Rotary Club, those are some pretty cool folks. No, they're old, but you know, they're cool. And like, oh, really? What's the Rotary Club? Mr. Nelson's like, well, the Rotary Club is like the service organization that works like around the globe. And there's like 3 clubs here. Then you got Mr. Nelson explaining to somebody else in the community who Rotary is and giving that Rotary pitch without you having to be there. Even though Mr. Nelson is not part of your club. Even if Mr. Nelson doesn't want to be in Rotary or be part of Rotary International, give dues, come to your club meetings, even if that's the case. The partnership that exists there between the two could break down all of those other barriers, the lack of connection, and all the other pieces that lead to the difficulty with creating M&Ms. So I challenge you. Once you understand who you are strategically, add some PI to it, some public image to it, think business-mindedly, innovate with all of these pieces in that stack, then you add partnerships to that level, even if you don't add a single person to your club over the next year. But you create some serious partnerships to impact the community in a way that's never been done before, that right there, all of that is going to help change and transform. The 10-3-1 rule. Anybody in the room know the 10-3-1 rule? No, the 10-3-1 rule. Anybody in chat know what the 10-3-1 rule is? The 10-3-1 rule is that you got to ask 10 people to join your club. 3 people will show up in your meeting. 1 person might join out of 10 asks, right? It's a sales thing. You got to ask 10 people to join your club. 3 people might show up to a meeting. 1 person will join the club. That's a lot of work. That is a lot of work. How much easier is it just to go up to Mr. Nelson and be like, hey, man, what are you interested in? Let's work together and make something cool happen. Saying all of these things together, make M&Ms, make membership memorable. There are champions and leaders in every community. Encourage your club to connect with leaders and influencers in your area. The more that we create memorable moments, the more that we're going to be able to create M&Ms. You can scroll down a little bit. The barriers are significant, everybody. We have a lack of connection. We have information overload. We have status quo, all with a nice old coating of COVID. Those are the barriers that we face. To overcome them, you need to have the Mr. Nelson techniques, have a strong identity and diversity, have clear public image and be business-minded, be fearless and innovative, create the partnerships along the way. Then you're going to be able to start making membership memorable. That's when you start to make these M&Ms over here. It's going to take a lot for us to get from where we have been stuck for the past year to the next level. We've been stagnant with our membership. We've been stagnant moving the needle. We need to change the way we think about it. And we need to just accept that some things may not be perfect. If we're waiting at the doors and just saying, you know what, is COVID ready yet? And you take the handle of the door and you peek outside and you're like, are we ready yet? Let's just go back inside for a little while. And you're going to allow these M&Ms to start melting away. But it's up to us to be able to take these tactics, push the conversation forward, be active, and that's how we're going to make M&Ms. So everybody, please, if you have any questions, put them in chat. Thank you for having me today. That's how you make some M&Ms. And I appreciate your time. Yeah. Oh, there's a secret thing happening, apparently. Last thing, as he's coming up, if you're ready to make some M&Ms, can you put hashtag Rotary in chat? Put hashtag Rotary in chat if you're ready to make some M&Ms. Steve, Joe, Mary, I want to see all of you put hashtag Rotary in chat. Charles, thank you very much. Introducing the stereo environment. There you go, Karen. I want to see hashtag Rotary in chat from everybody who's ready to make some M&Ms. Hey, DJ Eric.
Hey, how you doing?
Surprised to see you here.
Yes.
I didn't expect this at all.
Well, amazing. This is amazing. Well, Jason.
Yes.
Thank you so much for carving out time in your busy schedule to be with us this entire weekend.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the energy and excitement you brought to this district conference as the master of ceremony.
Absolutely.
And thank you for this great M&M speech of yours. I am confident it will be memorable and provocative.
Absolutely.
And on behalf of the district, I'd like to present you with this gift as a token of our appreciation.
Thank you, good sir.
For all that you do for Rotary.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Everybody, my name is Jason Brown. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And I'm supposed to hand it off to you, I'm guessing.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
One more round of applause for Jason.
There we go.
Let me tell you, absolutely, the Rotary theme of a couple of years ago, Be the Inspiration, doesn't get any more inspirational than that. So we'll be right back after a little bit, and we'll have our district governor back.